It's Friday night. Friday the 13th of October. It had been just over a day since I had finished playing new Danganronpa V3. Slowly I was recovering from the somewhat jokingly yet still serious loss of faith in reality brought on by it. I liked the ending. Something I know is a bit of a controversial opinion, but after putting down the game I had this lingering feeling that there was still more. Something left unsaid. And then it happened. The author of Danganronpa, Kazutaka Kodaka, posted a short statement to Twitter, in English. Danganronpa V3 has no end. At the time I was with friends, some of whom had beaten the game, and I just stared at Twitter on my phone. I look at them, and I tell them the message, and the kindlings of thoughts in my mind that were already starting turned into a raging inferno of speculation. Of course Danganronpa V3 has no end. A game built so thoroughly on the concept of lies would and could lie about being over. That one statement confirmed my suspicion and opened up the door to what I think is the true ending. The truth behind the lies. After all, the game had told me I needed to search past the truth to something greater. There was no way I was just going to let a little something like the game telling me it was over keep me from doing that. This game of lies still held fast to some of its most sinister falsehoods, and I had to pull back the curtain. To review, the ending of Danganronpa V3 puts forth one twist. The statement that it and the rest of Danganronpa were retroactively fiction, in a universe where the previous games, anime, and other media were all media and not real. If Danganronpa V3 really has no end, then it makes sense to address this twist as it's one of the few major outstanding claims the game has remaining. Now, as I said, I liked the ending. So for some it might seem strange that I seem poised to prove that one of the more divisive elements of the ending to be false. But to me that just makes me like it more and more. To lie about something so world-changing. To make us think that the world we are so invested in was merely fiction within fiction, only to have that be the game's true final falsehood? Well, that would make me enjoy the ending even more. I think that is Danganronpa. Early on, V3 establishes that it can lie to the player. But most obviously this comes from having Kaede not reveal to the player the action she is taking her to cause a murder, in order to set up for the much more blatant lie of the protagonist's swap. While this establishes that what we see through a character's point of view can be untrustworthy, the true meaning is that this game itself is an unreliable narrator. The thing is that this has a much longer payoff, so it's harder to notice. Most of the game is spent through the point of view of various characters, but there are a few times when it is not, notably at the beginning of each chapter. Its latter I will focus on, as each and every one of them is a lie in some way. Before the game even starts, there's a montage of the previous main series entries, specifically the first two games, Ultra Despair Girls, and the Danganronpa 3 anime. It also serves as the first time the player is introduced to Team Danganronpa. Before the first chapter, there's an opening. Its main lie is reinforcing Kaede as the protagonist, as there is little that implies Shuichi is anything more than an important side character. Before Chapter 2, there is a scene, later revealed to be fictional, of people mourning over the deaths of Kaede and presumably the rest of the cast. This is later revealed to be a lie told by them as a part of their falsified backstories. Chapter 3 has a news report about the meteorite, which is directly part of the falsified backstory. Chapter 4 has a deceptively edited version of Rantaro's video to himself. Chapter 5 has Monokuma mourning over the death of the Monoguts, who he knows can come back. Finally, Chapter 6 starts with the supposed viewer of V3 enjoying Danganronpa. Out of all of those, the only one without an obvious lie aspect to it is the final one. That is, unless you account for the possibility that V3 lied about Danganronpa being fictional within its own continuity. If that's the case, then every one of them is a lie in one way or another. Now that I've introduced the possibility that the twist itself is a lie, let's analyze some of the other aspects of the game that are up in the air to see how they work in that case. One of the other divisive aspects of the ending is the audience surrogate role of Kibo. Most people seem to be taking at face value that we, the player, and the audience are the same, but to do so is to ignore the underlying narrative subtext of how game design works. We can't be the audience. The audience sees things through Kibo, and we only do that briefly. And that control leads us to pushing Shuichi into rejecting that audience. No, we, the player, are in Shuichi's point of view, both literally and narratively. Our goal is to find the truth, or something past that, and to do that we must refute the audience that is merely in it for the despair, hope, and triumph of the character. Danganronpa is a murder mystery series first and foremost, and that's why I feel like there's still a mystery to solve. Going from subtext to plain text, it's time we start looking at things within the actual game that lead to the possibility of the final twist being a lie. When all is said and done and Danganronpa is about to end, Tsumugi lets slip some rather interesting dialogue. My plan with such a flawless copy, it even failed right at the end, so I should be able to hold my head up high as a cosplay cat criminal, right? This catches Shuichi by surprise, but it's too late to do anything about it. Kibo is set to start the end, and the game comes to a close with the question unanswered. For someone who claimed to be working for a company that makes Danganronpa for an audience of viewers, this is a rather strange statement to make. Why would she be a criminal if she's doing everything so officially that the series is run for 53 other entries? And why, if that's the case and there is a Team Danganronpa that she works for, then why is she the only member of the team we see? Everything else is technology-based to an extreme degree, and to a level of sci-fi that makes more sense as part of Danganronpa's established setting. This all makes sense if we accept Danganronpa being fictional as a lie, and in fact is a strong enough case I could have started with it if I didn't feel the need to make that possibility as strong as I could first. The killing game of Danganronpa V3 is actually a cosplay of the first game's killing game. Not wanting to make an exact replication, Tsumugi does the next best thing. Students trapped in a school forced to kill each other, locked in of their own choosing because of the outside world, but among them is a force of evil that started this killing game. Many die, and at the end it's revealed that their suffering, their hope, and despair have been on display the whole time, and by that hope they overcome the mastermind, Junko Inoshima, proving that she was the culprit of a murder long since over, and then freeing themselves to emerge into the unknown world that awaits them outside. When you look at it like that, it starts to add up, doesn't it? The players are different, but the game is the same. Now, how can we prove that Danganronpa is real and not the fiction that we are told? Simple. Once again, Tsumugi tells us exactly why. Back in the first chapter, Tsumugi gives her alibi as to why she couldn't disguise herself as someone else to perform the murder. Cosbox. She breaks out into a rash whenever she tries to dress up as a real person. Well, that's wrong. Whilst Danganronpa being fictional is in question, the characters of the game being fictional isn't. Everyone are still characters in the killing game, just not to the amusement of the audience. That being the case, they are all fictional. As a result, this creates a contradiction in Tsumugi's testimony. She breaks out when she cosplays Kaede, which means her cospox makes her break out in a rash whenever she tries to dress up as a fictional character. After that, it's pretty simple to figure out that things are flipped. Her cosplaying all those characters from Danganronpa 1 and 2 is her cosplaying those real people. It's why, when making a cosplay of the killing game, she might choose to not make it an exact copy. Her inability to actually cosplay is perhaps what made her fall into despair in the first place. She decides to make her mark by making the most impressive cosplay of all. The thing is, this isn't the first time someone has copied the first killing game in Danganronpa's continuity. Moving out of V3 itself, we have Danganronpa Gaiden Killer Killer. Killer Killer is a manga that was first released with no signs of being connected to Danganronpa, until the third chapter, that came out alongside Danganronpa 3's anime. The premise centers around Takumi Hijirihara, the Killer Killer, a serial killer that kills serial killers in secret as he operates as an agent of the Future Foundation, that being revealed to be his employee at the end of Chapter 3. The bulk of Chapter 3 involves Takumi encountering a mangaka creating a documentary manga about the first killing game, and, in doing so, has started doing copycat murders to use as artistic reference. This is interesting for several reasons. First off, it establishes the presence of copycat crime imitating what Junko has done. Secondly, it establishes the presence of media inside the world of Danganronpa that covers the events of the tragedy. I would also like to note that what little we do see of the in-universe manga in Killer Killer does not match up to the manga we receive. The latter is important because it can help explain something not directly connected to V3, but still important. As I said, the intro to V3 started with a montage of things from the first two games, Ultra Despair Girls, and the 3 anime. Of those 4 things, only the 3 anime was made late enough to have the twist of V3 in mind, and to that end there are signs of it being aware that it is an anime. This could be used to argue that Danganronpa is fictional, but establishing that media based off real events exists in the world of Danganronpa, it's possible that it too is in-universe. While we're in the realm of speculation, let's talk about that. If we account for the intention of Danganronpa 3 being in-universe fiction, that actually explains a problem people have with that anime. You see, the Danganronpa 3 anime, specifically the Despair half, contradicts the second game. In that game, it is said that Junko convinced all of the remnants of Despair individually to join her cause. But in the anime, it's shown that she brainwashed them using a brainwashing anime. As revealed to us, this isn't particularly interesting, because it takes something better we were led to believe and makes it simpler. But if we consider the 3 anime in-universe, it makes sense. A lot of people probably don't want to believe that someone can be so easily converted to despair. And in a post-tragedy world where they are recovering from the world nearly ending, then a little lie that, to us, makes things less interesting, but to them takes the responsibility out of the hands of the Rings of Despair. People don't just join Despair, they were brainwashed. That's the only reason she was successful. While that doesn't have nearly the backing of the possibility of E3's ending being a lie, it is still a possible explanation and one that could deal with a hole in this argument. In conclusion, there is no way to know for certain what is true until Danganronpa continues, which it will. While Kodaka has said that he wants to take a break from it, his words can only be trusted as much as the games at this point. After all, he is a member of Team Danganronpa. In a recently posted interview, one that was left unpublished until the game had been out for a bit, he said that he had no plans after V3, but since that game is centered around lies, that very well may be one. Spike Chunsoft is looking to hire some people to work for a new Danganronpa game as well. The story is far from over. As Kodaka said, how far does a lie go? I wanted to get deeper into the psychological thinking of how deep a lie and the truth is. This story itself is a lie. By saying that, what kind of truth do the watchers get out of it? Which one is the truth? Danganronpa V3 has no end, and only time will tell us what lies beyond that truth. Well, this video took a lot longer to get together than I thought it would. Alright, thanks to Dr. Cullen and to Vic for being big helps and being sounding boards for a lot of the stuff that went into this video, as well as a bunch of my other Danganronpa friends. There's just too many to count. Thanks to KZ for letting me borrow his Danganronpa V3 footage, as I played on the Vita and had none of my own. I have a Patreon, it exists. I've been told that mentioning it increases the chance of it actually getting money, so that's a thing. Videos happen here occasionally, but I'm a bit more active over at the Let's Play channel that I've recently revived. So, there's that. Thanks for watching the video. Bye.